Let's see if Eric and Bruce love this movie called Amelia's Children, which hits theaters and is available on demand on March 1st. Amelia's Children is I would like to say, deft mixture of comedy and horror. We'll see if Bruce and Eric agree with the fact that I really love the balance of it. It centers on this guy named Edward, played by Carlotto Cota. And Edward is looking for his biological family, and he has this. He gets his present from his girlfriend, played by Brigette Lundy-Paine, where he actually puts his finger in some kind of contraption, takes its blood, and it can find his family. Well, his family lives in Northern Portugal, this remote section in this beautiful house, and he gets to actually reunite with his twin brother, played by Carlotto Cota, and also gets to meet his mother, Amelia. The movie actually starts with a younger Amelia, played by Alba Baptista. You actually see her with the two babies, and she goes a little bit nuts when someone tries to steal one of her babies. That's the intro of the movie. And then it cuts to Edward's search for his own family. That is the premise. So Edward and his girlfriend, they travel to Portugal. They meet the mother and the brother, and both of them seem a little bit left or right. They don't seem very completely centered emotionally. They're very eccentric, and that is a premise of Amelia's Children. Eventually they realize that mommy dearest and the brother, they might want them in the house for some ulterior motives. Running at 92 minutes, directed and written by Gabriel Abrantes. I really enjoyed this movie. I laughed. I just basically coaxed Bruce into watching this movie, even though, like Eric, he's seen so many movies this week. I just told him there is one scene in the third act that you will not be able to unsee, and just for that scene, please watch this movie. I don't know, Bruce, if you are hating me for actually recommending this movie to you. What is your thoughts on Amelia's Children?
Overall, good, but also a lot of missed opportunity here for me in my book on this one. First of all, we did not mention the look of the mom. Uh, we probably should. The mom looks like, well, you know how someone has had so much plastic surgery and what would you say? She's probably in her 60s, late 50s, something like that. Probably
Yeah.
about my age. But she's trying to look like she was 20, and instead she's got the huge lips that are all messed up, and she just looks unnaturally odd. And right out of the gate, that makes an impression when you first see her. You're like, oh boy. And she'll keep smiling and kind of looking at people, just gazing at them. You're like, oh, what's going on here? Anyway, my main point about this is I love the setup and I love the characters. So here you got this classic long lost, family calls you back to their manor. This almost this gothic manor, and he goes there with his, girlfriend, and right out the gate things are weird and things get weirder, and it's like the whole point of a movie like this is like, what's the secret? What's going to happen, and how is this going to play out? And where it let me down a little bit was, I would say about the two-thirds mark or something like that. Somebody gives an expedition dump or after a little discovery that basically lets you know what's essentially going on in that house, and all of the stuff they told you is what's going on in that house. And all of that stuff that's going on in that house is kind of like versions of stuff you've seen a lot before, and it plays out kind of like that, whereas there was opportunity for so much weirdness to happen here that I wished would have happened here. Now, you mentioned a specific moment. That was definitely a touch of weirdness that I appreciated quite a bit. And there's another one with a dance. I'll just say there's a dance. That was a really great, weird moment.
I like
There should
bossa
have been
nova. If you like
yeah,
bossa nova, right?
there should have been a lot more of that kind of stuff. And that kind of stuff should have happened in like the second act. So the third act could have just gone fully off the rails. I wanted all kinds of weird lore. I wanted to know how this stuff was happening. When stuff was explained to me that was happening, they just said, well, this is what's happening. Did we ever really see that? No, not really. Some little dreams, things and stuff, but we never really understood exactly how that worked. And we never understood exactly what the current goal was. So I felt a little let down in that way. Overall, though, I would say it's a mild to the plus side, I guess.
Very good, Eric. Do you agree
Uh,
with Bruce that maybe it should have gone a little bit towards the crazy and campier stuff and more world building around Amelia's children?
I definitely would have liked the definitely would have liked more crazy, but I think the amount of crazy we got is pretty good. I kind of see this as a movie. It what's is this a wide release or what's the?
Yeah, in theaters and on demand on Friday.
Yeah,
Wide release.
this should be a movie that they push because like I totally see this as a movie like just being a hit with mainstream audiences. Like this could be another kind of Conjuring movie or another Paranormal Activity is a bad example because it's found footage and this is very much not that. But the I'm just talking about like how audience sort of receives movies like this. I think people eat this movie right up. And when we talked about Orphan first, actually Orphan would be another example of that, but Orphan First Kill, like that was one of those like I just watched the movie and I just did not get it. And I was like, oh, this movie sucks. And then the movie comes out and everyone just loves it. Um, Look, if you love Orphan First Kill, this one's a no-brainer. This is like the good version of those kind of movies. And I just wonder if they'll find the audience. But I guess if it's going to theater and VOD at the same time, then who knows? As far as the movie itself, I don't know. Things that things that I didn't think were spoilers apparently were spoilers, so I gotta
What,
tread
let me ask you,
carefully.
do you think that was a spoiler? I thought that was a spoiler.
The
Yeah,
now see, I don't know what we're talking about.
Well, this
There's
isn't
one thing I definitely think is a spoiler. One thing so in the first scene when she gets her kids taken away,
sure.
and her eyes turn white.
Right.
So
Yes,
there,
that's not a spoiler.
okay,
It's in the
so we're
trailer.
good. Okay,
Yeah,
so we're
But
good
you
there.
don't know what
But you
that
don't know,
means
but you don't
until
know.
later.
Yeah.
I got you. Cool. Well,
Yeah.
there's definitely like some supernatural stuff afoot. Um, but yeah,
Yes.
I like the
Oh, Bruce, you were gonna
Oh,
say
I wanted to
something.
say something about, well, on that supernatural front, I'm not going to talk about what happens, but let's just say another thing that was a little bothersome to me was there's an ability that's shown. There's an
Yes.
ability
Yes.
that a character can do, and that ability is used later. But all through the movie, I was wondering, like, why isn't that ability used? It's kind of like, okay, you see Star Trek: The Next Generation, and what's her name, Deanna Troi, can like, oh, I feel like something's weird going. She only uses it when it makes sense to the plot, but she doesn't use it all the other times she could use it. It's like that in this movie.
yeah.
There's an
Oh,
ability that could be used in a lot of different ways in this movie, and never is. And I'm like,
I think
why
it's
are you not
used.
using this ability all the time?
I know what
I
ability you're talking about. You're talking about Gabriel Abrante's ability to make an awesome movie, and he does it. He does it. No,
I
but
I
Bruce is correct.
I,
Bruce is
I
correct for
kind
that.
I kind of see what you're talking about, but that's and even with Deanna Troy, like that's one of those things where it's like you say it and I'm like, yep, I'm with you. Makes sense. Never crossed my mind once until you just said it. Like,
Good,
like
good
even with the
points.
Deanna Troy, like totally makes sense that you said it, but like as I'm watching Star Trek: The Next Generation, it never came to mind. The thing that they do in this never like I was just kind of
Okay.
into the thing with the characters and everything that part
But the
never
things
even
that
crossed my
bothered me in
mind.
this movie were all the tropey things that I don't like to see in these movies, which is like people not leaving when obviously they should leave and doing things when they obviously do things. But those solutions could have been solved with that ability because could have explained why they didn't do things they didn't do
I
because someone else could have kept them from doing things.
I think that's still going on. It's just not apparent. I can't get
Hmm.
into it more without getting into spoilers, but there's
I know what
I,
you're saying, but they didn't.
yeah.
If that's the case, they didn't really like tell us that that is actually happening. So
Well, that these are things that usually go right over my head. I'm just saying I picked up on that. I think that's
Can we agree
yeah.
though? Can we agree on one thing? Can we agree?
Let's
Well,
talk
can
about
we?
something else because
Can we?
I'm about to give stuff away.
Yeah,
I don't
yeah.
want to.
It's okay. It's okay. Yeah, can we agree on one thing? Annabella Morera, I believe that's how you pronounce her name. Annabella Morera
Yeah.
as Amelia. And Eric, you were very good in your interview with Gabriel, and you were mentioning that there are two women. This is not a spoiler, by the way. There are two women who play Amelia, but that second woman, Annabella Morera, as Amelia with the sort of plastic surgery stuff. Fantastic. I
So
loved her. My complaint, I have a complaint about this movie. I just wanted her in every single scene in this movie. She's so awesome. I loved,
So
but yes,
first of all, let's talk about Alba Baptista. Not in this much, but
she's
was
awesome.
also in.
Mrs. Harris Goes to Paris. She's
There you
awesome.
go. There you go. Yeah,
She's
Adam.
amazing. Great.
But
Shows the breadth of her work. Shows the breadth of her work. She's good in this.
but
Yes.
I bring this up in the interview because the Amelia older Amelia has like the plastic surgery done.
Yeah.
And it's like the bad plastic surgery, like, oh,
Yeah.
your surgeon didn't do you any favors. I hope you didn't pay him too much. But this didn't come across in the movie, but in the interview when Gabrielle was talking about why the plastic surgery, I really love that concept. It's kind of like one of those things that's like uh, if you're writing a script, you might have like a little note for the actor or a note for the character that never makes it to the movie, but it's still kind of cool that it's there. That's kind of one of those sort of things for me.
We'll be uploading that
We'll,
interview.
we'll talk about that and more in the spoilers, but yeah,
Yeah, a couple of things.
I did like the angle, the plastic surgery angle to it.
Eric, you can tell from the tenor of his voice, he's so excited about Amelia's Children. He will carry on that excitement with after we record this. Me and Eric will be, well, Bruce can't be with us because we want to make sure that he celebrates his birthday fully with his family.
So
But me and
funny.
Eric, we're going to talk about the spoilers for Amelia's Children. Exclusively for our Patreon members, they're going to get early access. Patreon members, you get these new movies that we're going to do spoilers for the week of its opening release. And then for the rest of our CinemAddicts listeners who subscribe to our YouTube channel, we release the spoilers a week later. So Amelia's Children for non-Patreon members, you'll get it for the second week of its release in theaters, or most importantly on demand. I think that's how a lot of you people will see Amelia's Children. I really love this movie. I thought it was campy. I actually agree with Bruce that I wish it went a little bit more crazy and camp, and Eric says that too. But I love the slow burn thriller aspect of it. The third act is fantastic. And my only complaint is I could have seen another half hour of Amelia's Children. 4 stars for me. 4 stars. Bruce.
I actually agree with Eric that this could actually be like kind of be a broad appeal, sort of a minor hit. To me, that's kind of the drawback to it, is that what makes it that is that it kind of goes in a more general way than I wanted it to go. I wanted it to go weirder. So for me, it's only 3 stars with some great performances and some great concepts. Just done a little more with it.
Fair. What about you, Eric?
I'm kind of teetering between 3.5 and 4.
Hmm.
But we saw this, saw She Is Conan, saw Blood and Blood Out. I'm feeling generous. I'll teeter towards 4 only because, again, I think this is going to be, if this gets in front of enough eyes, I think this one's going to be a crowd pleaser. And if this is going to be the new kind of Conjuring or new Orphan thing going forward, I'd much rather see something like this get eyes on it, as opposed to Orphan and Conjuring, which I didn't really care for either one of them.
And by the way, before we end on this, Annabella Moreira, we mentioned her as Amelia. Eric, you mentioned Alba Baptista. Towards the top, we talked about Carloto Cotta. He plays Ed and the brother. Mentioned all these people, but the actual lead actor in this movie is Brigette Lundy-Paine, Ryley. She plays the girlfriend of Ed. You see what unfolds before her eyes. So most of the movie is a slow burn thriller. So it might be prohibitive if you want action upon action, you're not going to get it with this movie. But if you want a slow burn with a really great knockout third act, in my opinion, this is definitely worth a watch. And again, really interesting mixture of comedy and horror. Bruce Perky gave it 3 stars. Eric and I gave it 4 stars. Tell us what you think of Amelia's Children.